we're back. And now, this is the grand payoff of this episode, the grand payoff of comics this week, what we've been reading for Superman, the Reborn saga. Didn't know what it truly meant, now we do.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh, fair warning, Josh has already said, just getting ready to discuss this, his headache is starting to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't blame him because it's a multiple read to understand what has happened and to put the pieces of how this happened, why this happened. We really don't know. We can only speculate.
Yep.
And we're going to speculate quite a bit after we talk about these two issues, after a little discussion here and there.
Yep. And there's a lot of implications from this too.
And these few comic books have been a lot of implications. Superman number 19, Superman Reborn Part 3, Don't Pass Go. We know that the fake Clark Kent was Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mr. Mxyzptlk wants to play a game with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And the game is get to the top of the tower, and if you can get to the top of the tower, I will release Jonathan and I'll go away. But every moment longer it takes him, he starts to forget who he is, forget his memories, and forget Jonathan.
And loses powers too.
Yes.
So, yeah, the odds are stacked against
Yep.
Superman. And that really shows Mxyzptlk is really serious
Yes.
about this. I mean, this is kind of a darker Mxyzptlk than we've seen, but he's also trying to show them just how forgotten he felt.
Yes, exactly.
By making John fade away and making them basically fade away into nothingness once, if they don't get to the top of the tower in time.
Mm-hmm. When they get to the tower, like you said, Superman barely remembers what he's holding on. Lois barely remembers what she's holding on. And Mxyzptlk is very amazed how they're able to do this. I do like they brought up the blue aura.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman says, why am I blue? Well, that's because that's you. That's your inner persona. That's what you radiate, blue.
Yeah, because that's like that's the when Mxyzptlk calls the personal dimensional playground, and that's all blue.
Mm-hmm.
And he says a really boring shade of blue, but he doesn't really have any choice because that's apparently the color of Superman.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan is in Mxyzptlk's little dome of the infinite planet, they called it. I liked how they had a little candy around it. And Jonathan is encouraging his parents to come get him. But they seem to start forgetting towards the end. And Jonathan yells, I'm Jonathan Samuel Kent. I'm your son. I'm your son. Then you see the red power.
Mm-hmm.
These two red globes come up to Jonathan. And they start talking to him. He says, you're kind of familiar, but I don't know who you are. They touch him, and he has that blue aura around him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that blue and red kind of mixed together a little bit. And Jonathan uses that power to break out.
Mm-hmm.
And that power goes and kind of merges with Superman and Lois. And all of a sudden, at the very end of that issue, we see New 52 Superman and New 52 Lois. And Mxyzptlk is, what did he say? Holy New 52 dilemma?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is going on there?
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yikes. I mean, we've known this for a while. We've speculated, especially from Superwoman,
Right.
that New 52 Superman is out there.
Yes.
His explosion into red energy, he wouldn't stay dead from that.
Right.
Same with New 52 Lois, who got superpowers, became Superwoman or Super Lois or Superwoman Blue or however you want to call her, and then she died in a similar fashion. We just kind of felt they had to come back.
Yep. And then we saw that with the Superwoman Reborn tie-in, that Lana Lang was kind of the watcher of the energy. And the same with Lois was, she actually, I think Lana absorbed all the energy, but Lois actually was energy herself, red energy. She absorbed a little bit, and she couldn't be contained with the energy. There's a lot of energy going around. We don't know right now. We don't know what this all means for Lana, for Lois. But let's go to Action Comics number 976, Superman Reborn Part 4. That issue starts off with one of the greatest lines of Jonathan when he sees New 52 Superman, New 52 Lois, and Mxyzptlk is kind of, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Jonathan says, I'm not digging the collar. I have to say,
Yeah.
I love that. But I love the red boots, so I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But in all seriousness, Superman and Lois, that version, they don't remember Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
They say, hey, we're not a family. We don't have a son. We're not married. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And Mxyzptlk kind of sees this saying, hey, you guys got to the top of the tower. I need to leave because I'm going to draw attention to someone else even worse than me, either a fleet of lawyers or someone is obviously going to notice this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to deal with that person, so I can leave.
Yeah.
But Superman's saying, hey, what are you talking about? What is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
You need to stay and have some answers. And he says, doesn't matter if it was you or the blue, or you both ignored me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Superman said in the last issue, what, I've been split in two? Because Mxyzptlk says that about some cosmic entity had kind of taken out the hope and, was it like hope and basically all the good stuff, the hope and all the good stuff, he split it off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he divided you.
Yeah.
And Superman said, what, I've been split in two. And Mxyzptlk says, hey, I don't want to mess with that person, so I'm going to leave. Jonathan, you have a choice. You can stay with me, be my new super buddy, my new super friend or not. Jonathan says no.
Mm-hmm.
And all that time, Red Superman and Red Lois are saying, we don't know who you are, Jonathan, but we'll help you find your parents. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just talking about, I can see you're going, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
it is
and
crazy.
I mean, going into the plot too, it's kind of exactly what Mxyzptlk wanted
Mm-hmm.
too. I mean, it's a cue for him to leave because, from the looks of it, he's made Superman and Lois forget John.
Yes.
Mission accomplished.
Yep.
Maybe realizing it's a different Superman, maybe not realizing it's a different Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Even John doesn't seem to realize that's a
Yep.
different Superman, even though he kind of noticed that when
Mm-hmm.
they were in their orb forms. He said, hey, I think you guys are really like my parents.
Yep.
You kind of sound like them too. And then when he sees him, it's basically the same guy,
Yep.
which is screwy. I mean, because they'd already said that pre-Flashpoint Superman and pre-Flashpoint Lois were what, about 10 years older
Yes.
than the New 52 version. So I don't know. It's a little screwy, but as John is telling them, hey, no, I'm your son,
Mm-hmm.
remember, think back to that, eventually they notice there's blue orbs
Yes.
floating around too. And I think we know who that is by now. That's pre-Flashpoint Superman and pre-Flashpoint Lois.
Yes.
And they have to go merge with New 52 Superman and New 52 Lois.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so tired of saying Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
But I can't because there are two of each flying around for a minute.
Mhm.
And then, poof, they're magically together.
Well, the blue orbs are talking to the red version, and they're saying, trust him, trust our son.
Mm-hmm.
And they start to say, okay, what if he's telling the truth? Jonathan telling the truth. They do. Jonathan used that blue energy to shoot at Mxyzptlk, and it really hurt Mxyzptlk.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you don't know what you've caused. Even more, now that guy is going to really know something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he leaves, and just as that reality's crumbling, they merge back.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got, when they merge, we suddenly cut to Oz seeing what's going on, saying, I didn't think this was possible.
Mm-hmm.
Love truly conquers all. And Superman is merged. Superman and Lois, the blue and red, make the definitive version of Superman. And what Oz is saying is, or what I should say, Superman says, I remember. So does Lois. I remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget you. But what happened is, it looks like Oz is showing there's this nice panel spread of, hey, it looks like both realities have merged into one. Mm-hmm. So anyone, Superman and Lois, and anyone close to them with connections to them are going to remember both timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that all works.
Yeah.
But Oz comes back and says, love conquers all. That these two were able to find themselves and make the connection and bring back hope. And why he does that, he's looking at the monitors. It shows Superman 52, this new Rebirth Superman, and now the merged Superman. And he says, did Superman truly have the final say, or did he have the final say? And when he says he, the panels go past Earth and show Mars. Why is that significant? Because at the very end of The Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan was sitting at Mars. We don't know what that means. But what it means is Superman is whole again. Lois Lane is whole again. You had mentioned that maybe there will be no need for secret identity because Mxyzptlk, or no, the secret identity is intact because Mxyzptlk.
At least as the Smiths.
Yep.
Maybe living in Smallville. So they might eliminate that. Might end up back in Metropolis.
Yep. What happens with Lana Lang, we find out in Superwoman, because she was the. Is she going to remember everything? Is she going to be affected by this?
Yeah, that whole Superwoman really confused me too, because when she's having those hallucinations and she meets with New 52 Superman, New 52 Lois, they do make a mention to their son. So it makes me wonder, is that them? I mean, is that the same New 52 and Lois who met John? Because they wouldn't have known that was their son if they meet him and then say, oh, you're not our son. You've never had a son. And I think it should be kind of apparent that the migraine is coming on now. Because that's what gives me the migraine. Like, whoa, wait, what? But this is also really not how I expected it. I mean, I kind of expected New 52 Superman to be back as a separate character. Kind of like New 52 Wally and pre-Flashpoint Wally. You know, we have two separate ones. It would be a little bit harder to reconcile them. This is just very different.
So basically, what I made out of this, and this is the discussion about Rebirth, was when Flashpoint happened, when the Flash went back in time and went back to merge the timelines, Dr. Manhattan reached in and grabbed 10 years, and those 10 years were the hope, the heroes, the love, everything positive about the DC universe, and pulled that out. And when he did that, it created the New 52, which was grim, which was dark. Maybe for an experiment that he had. Maybe he wanted to see if these heroes would cope, or would it be dark just like the Watchmen, like the universe they went in. Somehow, and I don't know how, because Convergence had all these different timelines when they did the Convergence miniseries, but Superman got split in two, because he probably more than anybody embodies the whole him and Lois of the DC universe. So yeah, New 52, and you had the Hope version of pre-Flashpoint Superman. Now they get merged together, and they remember everything. He remembers what happened to him, New 52, and remembers what happened to him in pre-Flashpoint. So does that mean the timeline is the same, or does he remember, hey, I was this person, they split us apart, and now I'm back together, and I remember that this happened to me here, this happened to me there, same with Lois and everyone around them. Will they remember the two separate realities? And if that's the case, is that why Tim Drake got took off the board? Because of Hope, because of his connections that he can make for people to remember who they were before. That's why Wally West was taken off the board, because they remember who he was before. And Dr. Manhattan doesn't want these connections to come back. Well, you see now that Hope as well with St. Walker, I think that who got blocked was Dr. Manhattan was blocking Mogo from having life, because that represented more hope.
And which is blue as well. And
exactly.
That's the same color it's associated with Superman here.
Yes.
Or at least the pre-Flashpoint Superman is Hope. Because we had seen that in the Multiplicity story arc too, was Red Sun Superman came to that Earth because he saw the blue aura around it and knew that would be a safe place to go.
And the next few issues of Superman is the Reborn Aftermath. So we're going to see what happens there. We're also going to see what happens next issues of Batman and the Flash with the Button, with the Watchmen. So we're going to find out more about that mystery. And we'll find out with the Green Lantern why was Kyle Rayner not able to channel the life energy through Hope and to bring back life? Maybe because it's more positive. Dr. Manhattan doesn't want that. He wants everything to be grim and bleak as what he remembered life. So, yeah, there was a lot of confusion this week, but there was a lot more of Rebirth opens up. And what role does Oz play? Because he wanted Superman to take he wanted Superman to go through a certain chain of events a certain way. And that's why he took certain people off the board.
Yep, and he says this changes everything.
Exactly.
I mean, this throws that
Yep.
all into, whatever. Because too, he had taken Doomsday off the board when he was fighting Doomsday. And now we have a Superman who fought Doomsday and died.
Yes.
So that part already happened. It looked like Oz might have been trying to avoid that in the future happening again.
Right.
That's already happened once. So
well, Blue or Superman, yeah. We're going to see a lot of questions being asked, and a lot more. As many get answered, we're going to see a lot more answered. But this was an interesting Reborn title. I didn't expect it to go the way it did. I didn't expect Mxyzptlk to kind of. He knows what happened. He wasn't telling anyone. He just gave vague hints of, hey, when you got split into the Hope and stuff, when Big Red bit the dust, I was like, hey, he's just a grump anyway. I don't care. But he knows what happened, and he doesn't want to mess with the person that made it responsible. That tells you what type of power that we're dealing with in the DC Rebirth, eventually with the Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, definitely.
How's your headache?
It's fine. We're over it now. We're all right.
Any closing thoughts on where you think we go from here? Besides for the Exciderin.
yeah, that'll be later. No, I mean this is a nice. It's a nice end to Superman Reborn. I mean, it's not the ending I expected.
Right.
It's over. I mean, it's different. I was really expecting to have Superman Red and Superman Blue back.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Maybe not with the crappy electrical forms from the 90s, but maybe a more tasteful version of that. But maybe we'd end up with Superman Blue and Superman Collar or something. I don't know. just to make Tom happy.
I like the new costume. It looks like it's a amalgam of current and old. It looks cool.
Yep, with lack of collar
and red boots.
Yep.
Approval.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of stuff happening everywhere. I mean, everything's happening all at once, seemingly. So
definitely,
it's a lot to take in.
But we continue to take it in, week out, unless we're sick, lose our voice. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, or drop us thoughts on what you think is going to happen now that we've kind of got some more answers with Rebirth at our Delve into the Void Facebook and YouTube page. Well, this episode of Comic Book Cove, I'm Tom Morris.
And I'm Josh Holderbaum.
Josh is going for the Exciderin, I'm going for the water, losing my voice, and Lady Margot at least needs some power. So we'll see you next episode of Comic Book Cove.